hello, hello. Welcome to The Play That Changed My Life, the podcast which is just an elaborate boondoggle for me to have more theater in my life. So if you want more theater in your life, you came to the right place. This podcast is brought to you by Harbinger and OSM Studios in the lovely Proctor's Theater in downtown Schenectady. Today is Woman's Day at The Play That Changed My Life. It is the afternoon of Kamala's nomination, accepting the nomination. She'll be speaking tonight, and today I have the local legend, Melissa Putterman Hoffmann, with us. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, Patrick.
And a very good friend who I met recently, or not so recently, about half a year ago, Jennifer Madison. Hello. I met you up in Hudson Falls, at the Strand, and we want to get into that. But welcome, ladies. So it's a big day for women in America, or is it? How do you feel today? Do you think it's a momentous day, or are you excited?
I feel like it's a day of very good potential.
Yes.
Are we there yet?
No.
But
yes.
Hopeful.
Yes, we have to have this day before we have, yes, what do they call it? The big shiny day.
Something good or something not.
Yeah. All right. Fumbling along here.
I don't know. I haven't been this excited about politics in almost 10 years.
Yeah. Well,
Joe did the right thing.
Okay.
Very excited about that.
Excellent. I'm very happy with things that are going on, and I pay some attention to politics, and I like politics in my theater, but for a while now, and I think going into this summer, I kind of had one eye open and the other one saying, hedge your bets, or I'm doing what I'm doing, let them, kick up a storm, but I'm just going to focus on what I do. And that's all I can do. But it's been a pretty great week, I gotta say.
I felt the shift.
Yeah.
Somehow, when Joe stepped down, I just felt a shift in the force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I get the part about I'm just going to do what especially if we think the outcome might not be so good. Sometimes that's how I get through. Just
sure.
Gonna do the things that are joyful and purposeful, and
sure.
Even if.
Yeah, because, there's only so much time that we can spend, trading memes, and, and it's been 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And so we got to do what we got to do, and you're, we'll be behind you, but you fight your fight, but it feels good. So it's just a coincidence that we have two extraordinarily talented women today, and a happy coincidence at that. Melissa Putterman Hoffmann, who, I was talking to the Times Union yesterday, and I was saying, about the level of experience working on this show. Chris, myself, you, Gary, Robin. How long have you been at Capital Region Theater?
Wow. I have been involved since about 1980.
Yeah.
Which is the only other time I appeared on the ACT stage. That's how I start when I got college.
I did not know this.
And moved to the area, and I did a show there. So I've been involved, and certainly high school and college.
Yeah. But Albany Civic Theater, what did you do at Albany Civic Theater in 1980?
Betsy
Molnar?
Yeah.
That's a good play.
I think so. It was very good.
I'm sorry, Betsy Normal?
Betsy Normal was the lead, and Carol Jones and I were the domestics, and it was a great experience.
I saw Carol Jones this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Anatevka.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I picture that.
Yeah.
I can picture that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I was saying we had the interview in the ACT lobby, and Chris and I met at Albany Civic Theater.
Oh.
Yeah, at Gross Indecency in 2001.
Now, that sentence has a lot of magic in it. Right there.
Gross Indecency. Yes. Yes. I'm sure I told this story already on this podcast, but yeah, we were both auditioning for Oscar Wilde, and Chris got the part. And during a smoke break, he consoled me because I was very upset. And he goes, "But the narrators are the best parts." So that's the story of our relationship, is that the narrators are the best part. Yeah, and he believes it. Of course, someone who goes on to play Oscar Wilde would say that. But Jennifer Madison.
Yes, sir.
You are involved with Hudson River Shakespeare, yes?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
But you're working at Schuylerville?
I am.
Coming up?
Yeah.
And that goes up in October. What's the play?
Early November. Play on. Rick Abbott. Yep. First time I've worked with Schuylerville. And I don't know. Very excited to get my feet wet with another theater company as well. Yeah.
Excellent. And did I mention that you're in Maggie May? By Francis Poet, produced by Harbinger. Directed by Chris Foster at Albany Civic Theater, going up September 6th.
Also a first, like it's my first time being in Harbinger, having admired it for so long. So I feel like we're pioneering together.
Pioneering.
Yeah. And, another great thing about Capital Region Theater is, you get to meet all these people and have new experiences. Like, you've been doing it that long, and new experiences are still available, it's not just we're working with the same people or at the same organization. And although, as much as we admire our organizations, there's always new experiences. And I met Jen through a community theater support group.
Support group is a great way to put it.
It was a support group.
It was just an idea. It was the
it's a precursor.
I had stuck my first toe out into the waters with Glens Falls Community Theater with Calendar Girls a year and a half ago and I was like, these people are right here. Why don't we know each other? And so I was like, we should know each other. There should be some sort of collaboration between community theaters. If not collaboration, I'm sure we're all facing some of the same problems, some of the same, just the same, pun fully intended, players.
Right.
We have the same type of players in each different group. So I thought, let's just try to get together and talk and see what comes of it. And I don't know, I think it was pretty well received.
Yeah. It was great. The first meeting, I met, 5-6 people. Justin, yourself, Mick, Carla.
Eric Rudy was there, if I'm not mistaken.
I knew Eric.
Oh, did you? I didn't. It was the first time I had met him.
Yeah. Great guy.
And the woman from Kathy, I think her name was Kathleen, from The Glove.
Sure. Yep. Kathleen Evers Parrott.
Yeah.
I go out on a limb.
Gosh,
sometimes
she'd be better.
I just start pronouncing a name or just go out there and I go,
Sounds right.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah. With an E, not an A.
Sorry, Kathleen.
Yes, I know, right?
Glove Theater, that's what's important.
Exactly.
Which
sounds wonderful.
It's a really great idea. We're continuing it on in some form or fashion.
So the problem with the origination of the idea was having a venue that was easily accessible, and then also getting other people to pick up the idea of hosting an event, because it kind of always feels like the party that no one's going to show up to, because you're like, hey, come talk from 4 to 6. at this place on this day at this, and you think maybe nobody's going to show up, but if they do, there's nothing wrong with that because you have very little skin in the game as far as like commitment or what. I mean, is commitment the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
A few snacks, a few, buy the things you like in case you take them all home.
You throw it out into the world. Come meet me, and if no one
meet
shows
me,
up.
see who shows up, and then put it more to use in the realm of what we're doing now, which is the fundraisers for the theater festival.
Right.
Craft Festival of Theater. In that, we're doing it at more different places, more frequently, and in a public, like we've been to like public bars and stuff like that. Druthers was the recent one, and then
Lionheart on the Green.
Yep. And before that, I did a Common Roots up in South Glens Falls.
Are we doing them in our area also?
Yes. They're going to be ongoing. We've been trying to do just throwing out Monday nights because most people do not have rehearsals then. But it's also like a 4-ish to 6-ish. What did I almost say?
Yeah. It sounded like 6. Yeah. Yeah. It's great. We dozen people show up and.
Could I get an invite?
Yeah.
You don't need an official invite, but you're invited.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you hear about it, you're invited.
On Facebook?
Yeah, it's Facebook right now. We're going to start doing Cap Dist Announce. Do you get Cap Dist Announce? Yeah. Anyone who's out there interested, Cap Dist Announce, you should be on it. Cap Dist Audition. If you're not on that, you need to be on that.
How do people get on that?
Yeah, just Google Cap Dist Audition.
Yep.
Yeah. Or Cap Dist Announce, and send them an email, and they'll sign you up. And Cap Dist Auditions, you'll see, 10 emails a day.
It's amazing what's going on.
Yes.
From film to tech to stage to whatever.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'll keep an eye out.
We're very lucky to have that. I think Cap Dist Audition has like 15,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Cap Dist Announce is very low. I was surprised. There's only like 500 people.
Are these two different entities?
Yeah.
Tell me more about Cap Dist Announce.
Yeah, there's only like 500 subscribers to it. It's what it says it is. If Cap Dist Audition is looking for casting or class or opportunities like that, Cap Dist Announced is telling you when the show is on. It's telling you,
And it's an email based.
Same
so you
thing.
have to be one of those 500, 501, 502 to be on there to get it in your inbox.
Right.
Well,
right.
There you go.
I learned 2 things.
There you go.
So far. I like this podcast.
Yeah. That's a solid single. That's a stand-up double, maybe. I'm sorry. We weren't supposed to mention sports.
I didn't even know we did. That's how much I don't know.
We're 15 minutes in.
I was just trying to figure out how to work breakdancing in there.
So fundraisers are going on, and we have been ranging in different neighborhoods. I am hosting McGarry's on September 9th. And
for
next
a very
week
special
is
reason, right?
My birthday, September 9th. No presents, please.
Okay. Is it a milestone?
No.
Okay.
No.
They're all milestones.
Yeah.
So well said.
Last year was the milestone. Yeah. But
Speckled Pig, Ballston
Speckled
Spa,
Pig, Monday, the 26th. And September 2nd, that's Labor Day.
Yes,
there's
it is.
something. Check us out.
To look.
Check us out on
where
Facebook. Google Friendraiser.
So what happens at a fundraiser? What is the purpose of that?
Honestly, it is just networking, getting to know people, but we are asking for a $5 donation, the proceeds which will go to the Craft Theater Festival.
Capital Region Festival of Theater.
I see.
It basically came out of our fundraising committee meetings and just to meet people, to talk about Cast Party, which is on October 27th, which is the main the big fundraiser for the Capital Region Festival of Theater.
And you and Chris are working heavily on
Yes.
Yes.
It's, I started this in January, and I thought, we should have a theater festival. There's so many.
Falls does.
There's so many people. There's so many groups. There's so much going on. And I thought I would toss that out, and someone would say, "I got it."
So you did the toss.
Yeah, and they said you should
And
do
you
it.
caught it.
They said, "Good for you. This is a great idea, Patrick."
It sounds like
we
you
help?
know everything that you want to
Universe.
do with that. Yeah, so we're running with it. We took the dare, and we are 501c3, and we are having a fundraiser at Cahoe's Music Hall. It's $35. There'll be a cash bar, but there'll be a light fare provided by Cahoe's finest eateries, Smith's Taverns and Anthony's. And we're going to have performances. And Owen Smith is curating the performances. And one of the theme of the festival is that the Capital Region is a great place to love theater your whole life long. So he's going to bring in some of his students and hopefully, some Playhouse veterans who have left the area, who are starting their career, and that we're all very proud of, like Jack Mastriani and George Franklin and Annabelle Duffy, and crazy talent that we have grown here. And, on up to Act 2, perhaps. And we're going to have a great big photograph, like the photograph of the jazz musicians in Day in Harlem, to have 400 of us in a photograph taken by Willie David Short. And and some of this is to, I met Jen, is to introduce ourselves to each other. We don't even know how big and powerful we are. We might look at Facebook and see a cast announcement and go, this recent announcement for the Psalm that Michael Kennedy is directing, with Dee Collin, Aaron Moore, Jean-Remy Monet, and Angelique Powell. And, that just shows up on your Facebook feed and you go, holy moly. Wow, that is a great cast.
That's like baseball. Not that I would know about this. Baseball cards, getting 4 of the ones you really want.
Yeah.
All in the same, yeah.
Yeah. And
the playwright is in it.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Directed by Michael Kennedy for Creative Action Unlimited. But, and this is, the festival is to introduce ourselves to each other, to see, sort of an expansion of the support group, to see how powerful we are, and also to show the rest of the Capital Region, who we are and what we've got going on. When we have a weekend with 12 shows opening, that means there are, over 1,000 people involved in theater that weekend, and that happens frequently, and I don't know, summer used to be very quiet. Very quiet.
Yeah. There used to be 4 theater groups. I mean, yeah.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
And this summer, Playhouse Stage did spectacular moving indoors with Cahoe's Music Hall. They had a nice run of Marvelous Wonderettes. Beautiful. Set house records.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Tina was here. And I think there was another tour that came through Proctor's earlier in the summer. Back to the Future, was that June? But, just an enormous amount of interest and participation in theater, whether, it's attendance or, we know hundreds of people. You talk about appearing with Harbinger, and we've had over 80 actors, different actors, in our 3 years of producing. So that's...
Can't imagine what that feels like. You know what I mean? To birth that and have now produced all those interesting plays and involved all those people. And a lot of them were your students.
A lot, but not
Yeah.
not disproportionately. I mean, a lot, as much as probably Confetti. Mm-hmm. You know, as many of my students have worked with Harbinger as have worked with Confetti, maybe in the past year, or past 3 years that we've been around. But yeah, it feels great. You know, it's kind of like something that you would dream about. I'm really happy with it.
Good.
So how's it going down there, down there on 2nd Avenue? How's it feel?
Well, first of all, the director.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
Let's talk about him.
Smart guy. And really understands that, people have different personalities and they have different ways that they work. And I love to see that. It's like a good teacher going around a classroom, teaching people depending on what their learning style is. So it's the second time I've worked with Chris, and I really enjoy that. But the play is so interesting. And the fact that it was commissioned for a purpose of sharing the experience, enlightening, educating people about dementia, and I'm saying things and describing things that have come right from those people, things that have helped, things that they've experienced. Yeah. I really love that.
Yeah. The play is Maggie May by Frances Poet. Can you give a brief description?
Sure. It's, and I don't want to start out, let me say at first what I don't want people to remember. I don't want them to think that it's a play about dementia, right? But it is a play about families, and families can be defined in different ways, growing together through times sometimes that are easier than others, and finding new ways of making life meaningful, retaining the most meaningful things in life. So there's a lot of joy. And the music, as much as, we feel like it's almost a character in the play, the music is really powerful because this is a couple that fell in love in the 70s and sang all those songs over the years, drives their kid crazy that they still do it. And so even in times of turmoil, the husband, Gary Maggio, understands that's a way to pull his wife back in and reorient her. And so they're lovely. It's also very challenging.
Yeah.
Maggie's on every page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved what you said about a family experiencing change, because that's what I responded strongest to when I read it. My mother had dementia, and I found this play. I was actually in London on a trip which was made possible by my mother's bequest. I could not have gone without my mother. And I found this play in a Waterstones, and they have bookstores that have plays in them. Like, not just Death of a Salesman, but they have actual plays that have been produced in the last year or two. It's just like crazy. I picked up a stack of plays, and
like you do.
Yeah. like I do. Yeah. And I brought them back to the hotel room or something. I read the back cover of this, and I was like, oh. And I'm interested. Okay. And I had no idea what I had bought. And I zoomed through it, and I loved the family experiencing change, because I had always heard that when someone has dementia, that you start grieving.
And it's just like
That you lose them.
Yeah.
And that you lose a little bit of them every day, and that was not my experience. There was definitely a hard transition, and there was a hard acceptance. There was a long time that she stayed at home, that we tried everything to do to keep her, at home. But then when we moved into assisted living, when we moved her into assisted living, there were changes, and I kind of felt like she was in assisted living for at least 3 years. I would relate to her, and we would visit her, and there are many stories that she had that it was like she was a child again, or like we would be back in Pittsfield, and like that's how I.
And did you travel? I bet you were not that child that would say, "You just told me that."
Oh,
No,
no.
you just went where
No.
she went.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
not only compassionate, that is just a quality of life piece.
Yeah.
I read the play as well before auditions, and then got scared about having to sing in front of people because that's so scary. But as we're talking, the part that really spoke to me when I read the play was the absolute power of being able to look into the eyes of someone that's becoming more flustered or terrified with a forgetting situation and draw them back to reality with a song.
Yeah.
Like the mind meld. And it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it right now, because the evolution of that in the course of the disease is that power wanes and it gets less and less. And that's tragic and so sad and touching. And I love that play.
The play ends on a sunshiny day, though, so it doesn't. If anybody's expecting an arc of decline,
No, I just mean in
doesn't,
life.
yeah.
We were kind of talking about life as well.
Okay,
So
yeah,
I wasn't talking
yeah.
about that part in the play, but
Gotcha.
that was the part that made me say, this is very powerful when I was reading the play. That connectivity of being able to sing a song and have it reach the person who is struggling to get out of the disease. I don't know. Do we call it? Is it called
just
a
struggling
disease?
to.
Condition?
It is a disease.
Condition. Okay.
But struggling to cope, struggling to make
It's
sense.
powerful.
When Act Two sings, and we sing at centers, we do fundraisers, and this is a group of people who are no longer going to be the ingenue, but darn it, we still sing those songs because we like to. So it's a lot of old songs, some new songs too, a lot of Broadway songs, and we sing in some centers where everybody gets escorted in, by the help, and you see people sit there and you think, oh boy, you're not really going to see this or hear this, and they're the first ones that are singing along.
Yeah.
They know all the
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
It's just, they might not be talking in terms of conversation.
Yep. It's a powerful day. I spent many days with my mother with certain activities that they had in the group room. And there was a guy that came in and sang and danced and got them up and moving, and with just high energy, like a little concert in front of them. They would all,
Respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big. Yeah.
You know how to pick them. I mean, I've never seen a whole hum harbinger.
Thank you.
That's not a challenge.
Yeah. We got to find a ho hum.
Oh yeah, everybody's looking for that.
we were actually in play reading committee, and and we're sort of like, well, we've never done a low key, just it's like, oh,
Sometime maybe.
yeah. Well, who knows? We might have picked one. Anyway, so play on. What?
Yes.
You talked about that. It's a backstage.
No, it's an on stage. It's
On stage.
A community theater group is performing a play written by a local playwright. It's the only play she's ever written, and they're in the weeds. They're up to their eyeballs. It's 3 days before dress rehearsal, and she's handing them rewrites and more pages and changing the characters and all the things that can go wrong, making it feel very much like the stress dream that we have all had, where it's like, no, this can't be happening. It's not real life. Yes. Directed by my friend Diane O'Neill, who I'm very excited to be working with, and a group of players who, some of them I've actually met, but I've never worked with any of them before. So I'm excited.
Great.
Yep, it should be a very silly romp.
And they do that show in the town hall.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, they do.
They actually move. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can. Go ahead.
They move the judge's bench.
They do.
The dressing room is in a holding cell.
That I don't know.
Maybe I'm making this up.
It might be true. It might be true.
But yeah, it's in the courtroom.
But yeah, the courtroom for auditions was set up as a courtroom, and there is the two tables down in front, and then it looks like a version of every courtroom that you've ever seen. Judge is up high, and
yeah.
Yep, the bench is all there, and it's on the stage
In Schuylerville, supporting the arts.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
And I saw a Bad Year for Tomatoes there last fall, and
have you ever heard?
I had never heard of it.
Have you ever heard of this play?
I have not.
And it's the second time they've done it, I think.
They did it in memory of a member who had passed away recently, and he had directed it originally with them. It
was a revival.
Yep.
They brought it back.
It was funny.
An encore presentation.
It was very funny.
What's it called?
A Bad Year for Tomatoes. It's by John Patrick.
Couldn't tell you.
I believe who wrote Curious Savage.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so. And it's from the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
And it's a big, I guess it was big with community groups and, anyway.
I could see its appeal for that. Yep, for sure.
That's 5 things I've learned in this podcast. Thank you. So far.
Wow. Yeah.
We haven't started rehearsals yet, so I don't know how much there is to say about it.
I'm sure it's going to be great fun.
I am expecting great fun from it.
Speaking of last minute, do you have any last minute experiences where is this show going to come together?
Every show I've ever been
Really?
in. Don't you? Doesn't it feel that way at one moment? Last minute. Yes.
You never felt like, we got this.
So listen, I have to put a big asterisk next to this because every show I've ever done with Hudson River Shakespeare Company, we do 4 weeks of rehearsal.
Yeah.
That is such a short amount from the time you get your script, and like the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, I need an extra 2 weeks with my script to feel comfortable with my lines.
It is
that
kind
kind
of
of thing. It feels very, very stressful. And
so maybe 16 rehearsals?
Yeah. Is it
4
Shakespeare?
weeks?
They do Shakespeare plays?
We do Shakespeare, but it's not exclusively Shakespeare.
The one I saw was a noir, and it was an original.
He wrote it.
It was an
Andy
original.
wrote that. Yes, yeah. So I think that COVID really freed up people's imaginations to like venture out into different things. The first show we did when our director and founder, Andy Daly, has written a couple of plays that we've produced. The first one that we did that he wrote was a story about Faust that my husband actually played Faust in. I stage managed that. That was fun. And and it was a 4-week, but the first time he tried to cast the show, not enough of the right people showed up. So this was immediately our first show after COVID. So they switched gears and said, well, we can't do that play. What can we do that has smaller number of people in it? And they were like, ooh, we could do Death Trap and switch the roles and have the females play the males part and vice versa for the main characters. And so we did. I was Sydney. I had the lead in that. And 4 weeks to remember that amount of lines was terrifying. But it was doable. You know what I mean? When we have larger casts and it's Shakespeare, it is always a nail biter at the end of like, oh, you can't call line anymore, buddy. That kind of thing.
And if it's in verse,
Yeah.
Improvise.
It does twist things a little bit.
A little harder to improvise. Yeah, and if you jump a scene, you're like, well, at least the audience probably didn't follow that we just cut out a page and a half of dialogue. Stuff like that happens. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it happens.
The noir, correct me.
Yeah.
Kill Me Deadly?
Yes.
Kill Me Deadly. Yeah, by Andrew Daly.
Yes.
Daly. Yeah, I enjoyed it very much, and I was surprised by how many men were in it, by the dialogue, and there were a lot of scenes. I felt like,
I was not involved in that one at all. I accidentally scheduled a trip to visit a kid out in Denver for the week of the show. So I was like, oh, we always do the show the last week of September, not the first week of October. I can't be there at all. So I was very tangentially. As a matter of fact, I watched. I didn't even get to see their dress rehearsal. I went to just a tech rehearsal, and then they live streamed it, which was nice. So I got to see it.
oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm sure they really, I know I always appreciate having people in the audience for tech and even rehearsals before that.
Yeah.
Just to get used to that. It's a
Yeah.
great feeling. I did want to interject that, at 68, I memorize lines very differently than I did 10 years, 20 years, 30
Yeah.
years. The brain changes and
Do you remember a time when you didn't have to sit down and go line by line? Like,
I don't know, Patrick, but you do, I think.
I was in high school, and I went to the Theater Institute in the Egg for my senior year and got work-study credit. And I was in Witness for the Prosecution with the company, but I was the warder, who doesn't have a line. He just sits behind the convicted or the suspect, Leonard Vold, through the whole play. But I was sitting there, and one of the barristers was out that day, and I picked up his part and went through scenes knowing his lines. I was like,
How does one do that? Yeah. No, I mean, I can remember memorizing lines in high school or in college, and my memory of it was you just sat down and you said it out loud a few times and then you had it. And then there was a long hiatus that I was not able to do theater. And when I went back to it as a 40-year-old, I was like, this is not how I remember it to be.
Yeah.
How come I haven't memorized these lines already?
Yeah.
You have to add more tricks to your bag of how you go about doing
I think
it.
it's a lot of
walk.
lot of repetition.
Yes.
Movement, but a lot
Yep.
of muscle memory and ear memory. And especially if you use an app where you've read everybody's lines in, the beauty is that when your scene partner gets a deer in the headlights look, or in some cases, not in this play, but does things like, you can say things like, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're going to, you know what I mean? You can help because you've even heard, you haven't tried to memorize, but it really takes a ton of repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like out loud repetition too. You can't repeat it in your head quietly.
I think
you have
you're
to say
right.
it out
Your
loud.
ear has to hear this. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I saw someone saying, the right way to memorize lines, and I was like, okay.
Let me learn.
okay.
Tell me.
Do tell.
But when my mom passed away, she died like a week after Destroying David closed. So she was declining through that process, and I would visit her, and I would schedule, and it was like, you have 2 hours to memorize these, I won't say 3 pages, but you have 2 hours to you have to get this page and a half down. And I would get it down and move on, and then, go back and review. And there were times when, Chris is like, "You ready to review?" I'm like, no, I can't review right now. But yeah, it was a very strict schedule, and then I would do the entire play before that evening's performance. Yep. When I showed up to the theater, I would, walk away and go into my own room and do the whole play beforehand.
I make sure that I have said every single line or sung every single thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Out loud that
even
day.
in the off week, part of the week where you're off.
Yeah, that play was the only time I've ever done that.
Two-person play.
Yeah, it was a 2-person play, and I had that play is the only time I ever did that. But I probably need to do it more often.
In summer stock, I remember the choreographer always, in the morning was when you did the new stuff.
Yeah.
And in the afternoon, you would do the review. And I think about that, too, in structuring my day, about learning stuff and when to review.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm much better, up until like 1 o'clock. And then,
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Your podcast?
You're going to be interviewed. Oh, I like
No,
this.
it's not an interview type of question. It's like along the subject that we're talking about. So, I believe from our conversations that both of you have done a lot more acting on stage in front of people than I have over the years. And there comes a point where you get incredibly comfortable with it. Right?
Every opening night, there is a moment as I'm standing backstage, honestly, when I think, I know where my keys are, and I know where my car is, and I could be out of here
Okay.
before,
Oh, yeah, I feel you on that one.
and yeah.
The price of admission of wanting a role is I have to do this now. Do you do
Yeah.
that? Do you have a thing like that still?
the price of admission?
The fear right before you go on, the escape clause, I could walk out the door
Waiting
right
for
now.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I call it, no, put your big girl pants on. This is that feeling of anxiety right before you go on stage, especially opening night, is the price of admission.
I always felt like,
how I go.
when I was growing up, I always felt like a quitter. I always felt like, I tried magic, and you're a kid.
You're supposed to try
yeah,
stuff,
you're not.
If you
no
stuck
one's
with everything
expecting
you tried.
right. No one's expecting you to be Blackstone, but I always felt like a quitter because you pick up the trumpet and play it for a year and put it down, or you try. I dropped out of soccer or whatever, and it's like, and acting, I feel, is the only thing that I have maintained in my life. And I kind of feel like that's my talent. Like my talent is that I just keep doing it. Whether it's wanted, necessary.
And you teach it.
There was
You'll also teach
Yeah. And that I have a passion for it. That I go to see a few shows a year, and that and then it,
A few shows. Okay, that's very funny.
shows
a year.
And then that I can, then it's still like, I start a podcast, because I believe in it so much that, that's my faith is like, and I kind of feel, that's.
Despite the fear of going on stage right before a production, feeling like, oh boy, I hope I can pull this off, whatever, what we were talking about, there is a spark that it lights in me that has been lit by nothing else, because what you just described is exactly the same, a different version of the same type of thought process that I went through in my life. Yeah. Swim team? No. Drama club? Yes.
How lucky we are.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine actually, first of all, meeting something that you're calling in life and being able to stick with it and we're all
and to live in the capital region, and it's like when I take on whatever, Harbinger, and now the theater festival, and it's, it's like these opportunities are available, in the capital region.
Do you ever say no?
Sure.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In a play reading committee, you can't do 20 plays in a season. You can't, you have to say no when you're directing, people approach you, and sometimes, I always, people ask for reviews, and I always want to be available. I always want to, if somebody asks for a review, I want to be able to provide that, because I kind of feel like that's why I started reviewing, because I felt like there were a lot of groups doing great work that weren't getting coverage, and there still are. I haven't solved that or anything. I think I've made a difference, and I didn't, I wanted to be able to provide that, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
That sounds like you.
It
does.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll try, right?
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and Patrick's students, it's funny, like, I've never been in one of your classes, right? I've worked with a number of your students, and they say some of the similar things about preparing. I love this, preparing in rehearsal and preparing for performance. I even know some of the phrases, and I've never even strong and wrong.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know some of the. It's so great it's like you've dropped seeds, around and.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have certain actors. I go, oh man, I see that, like, and I feel like a parent.
Yeah,
It's like, that's my. I can see. Yeah, that's nice. I don't think I said a complete sentence there, but
I got it. You got it.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
If anybody made it this far into the podcast, they'll get it too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I pity the poor person who has to transcribe this, but so we're winding up. Was there something this summer that, or what you're looking forward to this fall? How was your summer? Now that we're in the last throes of it, did you have a good summer?
Summers are always busy, and they always, at the end of them, leave me feeling like a deer in the headlights, because there's so much more unstructured time that, like, I'm like, oh, thank God it's fall. I feel like I know what's happening now. The buses will go by my house at this time, and that kind of thing. But yes, I have had a great summer.
Great.
It was very good.
Excellent.
It's been my first non-summer vacation, because I just retired from school social work.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Whoop, 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 in October. And so, and I've been, thrown into Maggie May and cozying up to the script, and I'm president of our synagogue. So I spend a great deal of time actually at my laptop. And I don't mind it. I do get out on the deck. I do get outside. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the change of seasons. I love fall.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's all contrast. I love contrast. I'm sorry to see summer go, but we'll see
Yeah.
it next year.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yep.
It's all the change.
Yeah.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Weekends,
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, I always think of fall as the new theater season. I do. I like the fall arts and leisure, the preview section. I do look forward to it feels like a new season. But I think it's great. A lot of new stuff and looking forward to everyone's new season. So we have reached the point in the podcast where we talk about the play that changed my life.
And I
Have you not thought about the assignment?
No. I have.
You do?
I feel like it's a long, boring, you've heard it before story.
Oh, no.
But I'm going to tell it anyway.
Please.
Are you ready?
Yes.
If I had to actually name the play,
Yes.
it was Brigadoon that my grandmother brought me to when I was in junior high, and it was our high school production. And there's a lot of artists in my family, but not theater artists. So we did not go to plays. We did not, And while I was watching it, I was like, I must do this. So that was what led me to go into the drama club and join the drama club when I was in high school. Yeah, that was it.
You were younger?
Yep.
What grade were you in?
I was probably in 7th or 8th grade.
7th or 8th, and you went to the high school production.
Yes.
Where was this?
Hudson Falls High
Hudson
School.
Falls?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Oh gosh, I was like, I can't wait to do this, and I definitely remember the first show I auditioned for because I was horrible. Terrified. It's the whole, why did I want to do this? Like, I was so scared. Yeah. But I wouldn't have stopped doing it because there's so many other facets of theater that you can belong in and take part of that you don't have to be on the stage until you're ready. By high school, or by the end of high school I was. And so I was a drama major in college.
What college?
Geneseo. Yeah. And the one that stands out from Geneseo, the play that changed my life, was Lysistrata.
Lysistrata.
Lysistrata. We were told to pronounce it Lysistrata by our director.
Excellent.
And, oh my God, never had more fun in a show in my entire life. I actually do not remember being scared of the audience, like we were talking, for that show at all. Oh yes, we had. There were a lot of phalluses on the stage, and it's a very naughty show. It was an amazing.
Was it modern
so
dress?
Much fun. No, we did some. We did not. But our Centurions.
Did you have a disco score?
No. Did somebody do it that way?
No. I feel like you should do anything.
You could.
Lysastra.
Women are like forcing their husbands to stop fighting by not having sex.
Withholding.
No sex.
Yeah.
Withhold the sex so the men will stop fighting because we are sick of war. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you did that in college?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It was very fun. Very fun.
That's what college is for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I sometimes see colleges doing the mousetrap, and I was like, oh, you can do that out in the real world.
We did all sorts of stuff. Savage in Limbo. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. John Patrick Shanley.
Yep. Uncommon Women and Others.
Wendy Wasserstein.
Yep. That we had, and the resources at the college are just like, oh wow, this is amazing.
Throw money, and
yes,
and
a budget, a
real
budget.
And you have a whole tech
Scene
crew
shop,
because they're getting credits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's another great thing about Capital Region Theater. 8 colleges. Can't wait to see what they produce. Skidmore, Union, UAlbany, Siena. Great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right. Ms. Putterman
So I think there are 2 ways to
Hoffmann.
answer that question. One
Sure.
is, what
At least.
plays have I been in that just by being in them, it's changed my life? And one obvious answer would be 1776. In 1989 with Light Opera, I wasn't in it. I designed the set because one of the producers said, after a very painful breakup, there are going to be a lot of men in it. And I said, I don't want to meet any men, And I said, welcome to Light Opera, to Gary Hoffmann, and 33 years and counting. And so that was a profound change. I met my best friend in 1980 at SLOC doing a show. So those are gifts for life. But I grew up in a family. My mom was in barbershop quartets, and so I heard that music all the time, sang a lot of harmony, and my parents took me, and then me and my sister, to New York at least once a year to see something. So I had that, saw Angela Lansbury in MAME and thought, and I'm just about old enough now. I thought, that would be great. So that's all really, inspiring. So those would be, my answers, the ones that change. And when you've had life change, when you do theater all the time, Patrick, right? You can measure it by, that's the one when my mom was ill.
Yeah.
That's the one when this and that.
Yeah.
And that's how you tell your life story almost.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm, the play that changed my life. It's like, if I don't answer the one where I met Chris, there's gonna
especially on a podcast. I'm
trouble,
just saying,
But yeah, there's the one, that I read in high school. There's the one, that the first one in New York, or my mom. Yeah, first Harbinger. Yeah, all, to quote Rent, you measure your life in love. You can measure your life in the plays. Yeah, so we have a friendraiser coming up. You have a play coming up, Play On at Schuylerville in October?
First weekend in November.
When do you start rehearsal?
Not until September 22nd, I think.
Just casting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah, casting early?
So much.
Yeah?
Love it.
All right. All right. There's a lot of schools of thought on that.
No stress at all about having my lines memorized.
You're going to get on it? You're going to go into rehearsal? And
absolutely.
Good for you.
Directors really appreciate that.
Yeah, Diane O'Neill is going to love you.
Yep. You don't have to. Patty Bunn, same thing. Like, she doesn't want to. She loves it when people come knowing their lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be there to see it. I'm psyched.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
I'll be there. In what? Just a week or two?
Just a week or two.
Maggie May.
Very
Coming
excited.
up, Albany Civic Theater. It's a co-production with Harbinger Theater, and it runs September 6th through September 22nd. There's a free preview the night of September 5th. September 7th, we are having an I Love the 70s night because Gordon and Maggie met singing 70s songs. They met in 1971. We're going to have an I Love the 70s night with all sorts of, 70s canapes, pigs in blankets, and we might have some French onion dip and a pitcher of sangria. And what else do we have? September 15th is our talk back. And this is a play that you'll want to discuss with your friends, and hopefully you'll come and, maybe if you have this experience. And another reason for choosing the play is when my mother was, when we were going through it, everyone, so many people, reached out to us and shared their stories, their personal stories. So it's affected so many people. September 15th is our talk back for Maggie May. The cast party at Cahoe's Music Hall. Come hang out with 450 of the Capital Region Theater's best and brightest introvert extroverts, the theater kids taken over the building. It's going to be a great time. We're all going to have so much fun, and we're building a festival to show the Capital Region just how big and how much we love theater. And that's going to be in June of 2025, but we need to make some bucks. So come out to the cast party, and until then, I will see you in a theater real soon. Thanks for joining The Play That Changed My Life.